Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about owning chickens and ducks for profit and how I cut down their feed costs and other expenses. Chickens and ducks can be fun to have, but they can be pricey. So I just want to talk to you about on how I cut down those costs. And start off with how to cut those costs down. Then I'll get into how you can make money from your chickens and ducks. So, I got the chickens over here. Look at them. I hatched most of those guys. Over there, the ducks. Not sure where the chickens are, but they're around somewhere. Okay, let's start off with feed cost. So, how do you cut down the feed cost? So to cut down my chickens and ducks feed cost, what I do in the summertime to help that cost a bit is I'll have them, as you can see over there, ducks right over there. Hey, get out of the camera, Panda. So the ducks are over there, and so they're out eating bugs and grass. Chicken ducks don't really eat grass that much, but they're kind of like nibble at that. And they eat lots of bugs. We have a lot of tadpoles in the pond. We got frogs and stuff like that. So they like to eat that type of stuff. So I leave them loose in the summertime. So if you don't want your ducks free ranging, maybe you got gardens and you don't got much property, so you don't want them going anywhere like on the road or anything. What you can do is just have them fenced in, and then just move that fence around every month or so. And well, depend how big the fence is actually. If it's a smaller fence, move it like weekly. If it's even smaller, daily. You can also build a chicken tractor, and that's like a move-in. It's there's shelter, there's fencing around it, and then you easily can move that around. And so that's called a chicken tractor. It's kind of something like this fence right there. It's something like that, but with shelter on it. Here, let me get you a close-up of what that looks like. So this is it. It is kind of broken down. A storm happened and a tree fell on it, so this needs to be taken apart. But you can easily build one of these. So you lift it up here, and then it's got some wheels on the other side. I'll show you how this works. So you just go like, you pull this knob thing here. Oh my, okay, it's a little bit rusty, but you just pull that straight. These wheels will come down, and that way it will stay flat on the ground and an animal won't be able to get in there. But with chicken wire, you do have risk of weasels and stuff going in there, so not my first. I wouldn't, that wouldn't be something I would do. So I recommend not doing that just because like a weasel or anything could get in there. But you if you have shelter, you can lock them up in there at night, and that will work. But yeah, it's just risky with weasels and all stuff like that. So I like to keep my animals locked up at night. And I've had so many accidents happen. I've been with chickens my whole life, and so like I've been taking care of them for as long as I can remember. And through that time, there's been so many times, a fox, weasels, so many different animals can get your chickens and ducks. So I don't like to risk that. So for feed costs, basically just grazing a lot, eating bugs, eating all that stuff. Another thing you can do here is you can give them a lot of like plants. You know, maybe like, okay, maybe when you're done with your garden, you can have your ducks or chickens go in there and clear all that out, and they'll compost and it will be ready for next year if you got a garden fenced off. That's something you can do. Giving them a lot of vegetables, when your vegetables, you know, like stuff that you don't want to eat, but you'd give to your animals. Make sure there is some foods, vegetables and stuff that your ducks can choke on, so be aware of that. But most vegetables chickens can eat, most of them. I think avocados, and I think avocados is one thing I know they can't eat, but there is just a few things they're not supposed to eat, but most things are safe for them, so that's not too much of a concern. So for feed costs, just grazing, vegetables, you know, whatever stuff in your garden you don't need anymore, feed that to them. If you find bugs around your yard, go ahead and throw that in their fence. If you have, another thing you can do is you can pull out some weeds. Just pull out a bunch of weeds, throw that right in their fence if you don't want to free range them. That will help with feed costs. They will eat some of that and not need less food. So when I feed my ducks, what I do is I free range them all day. Let me show you what they're doing right now. Alright, everybody's just digging up here. They've just been digging at the ground, looking for bugs and all that stuff. What I do is I free range them all day to cut down all that feed costs, and then at night time when I put them away, I'll feed them grain. That way I know that they're eating enough, and so they may eat any bugs, but then they got some food at night. So that way they're eating, and yeah. So if you have enough property, you can just do free choice food without feeding them grain or a very small amount of grain. But you know, you just gotta have a lot of property for that, and some people do it, but you know, if they don't eat enough, there's a few things can happen. One, they can stop laying eggs. Two, you could lose one or two, and risky. So let's jump into bedding. How you can cut down your bedding feed costs. This isn't so much a big deal in the summertime, but in the winter, when it gets cold, they need lots of bedding. So what you can do for that. So what we do is you can cut your own wood chips, and that's bedding. And you know, Tractor Supply sells wood chip bag. A lot of people use that type of bedding. Just, you know, lay that on the floor. That's what you can use in the summertime. And you're like, wait, but ducks have dirty eggs when they lay on. Sometimes that bedding can get dirty fast, and so straw is better for their eggs to keep them clean. So with that, what you can do is I get a big box in their house, and I put clean bedding in that like every few days. That way the eggs stay clean and those wood chips are on their floor. So that's what I do in the summer. For the winter time, you can use cut those wood chips, or you can collect leaves in the fall and save them for winter in the bedding. For me, I do save the leaves, but I give them to the goats to eat in the winter, so I don't really have enough for the ducks and chickens. But if you don't have goats and you have a lot of leaves, save it for their bedding. But what you can do is put the wood chips on the bottom and the leaves on the top. Since I don't have leaves to give them, what I do is put straw on the top. So wood chips and then just put a small amount of straw when it gets super cold. That way they're staying warm. If their feet start to turn in color, their feet are turning cold, or anything like that, add extra straw, like extra straw, and that way they're staying warm in the winter. So for the nesting boxes, for chickens, I'd recommend putting some straw in their nesting boxes, so that way they can stay nice and clean. And thing I wanted to add is, if your chickens are free ranging and your ducks, your yolks are going to be extra orange, which means they're extra healthy for you. Now let's talk about making profit for your chickens and ducks. Now that we covered a little bit about feed costs, profit, this one's a little bit more difficult. A lot of the money you make from your ducks is probably just, and chickens, and your ducks and chickens, is just going to go back to them for their food and all that stuff. And you're not making much money. I mean, like, ducks and chickens, honestly, are pretty pricey. You might make a few dollars, but it's just going to go back to their food and all that. I am going to tell you a couple tips to cut their feed costs. And so this is just money you can make, but like I said, it's probably going to go back to their food. So you're probably not going to make much money, but that is to tell you how you can make a few dollars. So first option, you could sell their eggs. Like, eggs is not really going to cover much. Eggs are a couple dollars a dozen. Now eggs are really pricey, I know that, but they're, some places are like up to $7 a dozen, more some places, but those egg prices are going back down. So the thing is, though, feed cost is going up, and so people are like, why are eggs so expensive? But feed cost is so high, and so you're not really making anything with that. But let me explain. Do your best with that. You can sell some chicken eggs there, and usually duck eggs cost a little bit more. Also, the duck feed costs a little bit more. So if you're thinking of getting ducks or chickens for profit, I'd go with the chickens, because ducks are super pricey. You can sell their eggs more, but they're super pricey. Second way you can make profit from your ducks and chickens is selling fertile eggs. So what are fertile eggs? Fertile eggs are eggs that from either chickens or ducks that you have. For ducks, you would have a drake, which is a male duck. For chickens, you would have a rooster. And so when those mate, then you can have eggs where you can incubate them and hatch some ducklings or chicks. So in my opinion, when you want to sell fertile eggs, what I would do is give a test run for your ducks. Make sure your eggs are fertile, even if you have a rooster drake. Sometimes your rooster or drake isn't something called proven, which is you don't know if they can breed. So it's good to check. And when you sell them, you can say, I hatched these. I know these hatched. And so that way you're more likely to get some buyers there. So selling fertile eggs, and those cost a little bit more than selling regular eggs. You can't put those in the fridge, and they also need to be clean as possible. No dents, no cracks, clean. Also, they might not hatch if you're selling them through the mail. You can sell them through the mail, but they might not hatch. So I recommend sending it to someone locally, and that way you can, there's more hatching chance, and then if they hatch, your buyers might even come back to you. The third way you can make profit owning ducks and chickens is you can sell either ducklings or chicks already hatched. So if you want to get into that business, you know, that is a great way to make money. I tell you, I've done that, and it's like, you know, it might take some work. You know, you gotta put those all in the incubator, and then, you know, sometimes you don't get a good hatch rate because they don't hatch, and sometimes even when you candle them and there is a chick or duckling in the egg, sometimes they still don't end up hatching. So yeah, there's some pros and cons to that. But when I hatch duck eggs, I have a smaller incubator fits like 10 duck eggs in it. 12, probably 13 chicken eggs, but only like 10 duck eggs. So I wasn't hatching very many at a time, and I would sell them, and people actually wanted to come back to me and buy more. So that was pretty good way to make money from them. But people kept coming back saying, hey, do you got any more? And then I had like 4 other people that already wanted them, and so once you do your first batch, I recommend getting a bigger incubator if you want to get into that business. But if you just want to hatch for yourself, and that way you don't have to buy more chicks next year, just get, you know, a 10 egg incubator, 6 egg incubator, whatever, something small. But if you want to sell them, you're going to want a bigger incubator. But like I said, I would start with a smaller one to make sure that you are capable of hatching. Fourth way you can make money or profit owning chickens and ducks is owning meat chickens and ducks. This is like really common, very common if you want to make money from them. I haven't really done too many. I never done meat ducks before, but I haven't done too many meat chickens. When I was like 10, I did actually really want to do meat chickens, so we got a bunch, lost some through the way, but we did end up doing that. But famous meat chickens is they get huge and nasty, so you want to do it, you know, right at the age. You gotta schedule that date. If you're gonna do it yourself, can't leave it. If you're gonna do it yourself, you gotta be ready and prepared. You gotta be ready at that time when you're going to butcher them. But if you have somebody you're gonna have do it for you, you're gonna want to schedule that date ahead of time. Those fill out fast, and it's gonna be so. Another thing is, if you're doing meat chickens and ducks, think of this: you're going to have to pay to get this butchered, or you're going to have to pay to get the stuff. Or if you rent the stuff to do it, once again, you're going to have to pay for it. So just think of those costs also, so you might not make any money there. But if you do that, also, you can eat your meat, but I think it has to be like certified in a lot of states in order to sell the meat. So, but family and friends, that's okay. Fifth way you can make money owning chickens or ducks is this. I would recommend more doing ducks because you will probably, I'd say it's more profitable for ducks this way, but you also can do it for chickens, is hatching your chickens and ducks and then raising them up and selling. You can sell breeding pairs. So this is more, you're going to want purebreds, and you don't want too many like you don't want too many genetics in there. So like parents, like the siblings, ducks are okay to do, but you don't want a lot of genetics going on in there when you do this. So if you sell breeding pairs when they're adults, those can go pretty high. Sell like you hatch those out, sell male and a female together, and that's a good way you can do it. And that will cost a lot more than if you buy just a female duck. It's gonna cost less than if you were buy a female and a male breeding pair together. And so there's a few ways that you can make money owning chickens and ducks, and how to cut down their feed costs. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you, and enjoy getting into the journey of owning your poultry, whatever you get. And stay tuned for more videos. Be sure to subscribe and let me know down in the comments on your tips for cutting down your feed costs and how you make money or profit owning your chickens and ducks.